The way Julius Randle has been playing this season has unlocked the New York Knicks, and we are going to break it down. So, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to waste no time jumping right into the video because Julius Randle's play this season has completely evolved and unlocked this New York Knicks team, especially with the acquisition of OG Anunoby. So, let's basically go into it. As we know, last playoffs, Julius Randle did not play well. This is because he was coming back off of that ankle injury pretty early. He needed an operation on it. He didn't get it so he could continue to play for the Knicks during the playoffs despite being hindered by only being on one leg. However, we all know if you're healthy enough to play, you should be performing. Availability is the best ability. And though Randle was available, he was clearly not at 100%. And it probably wouldn't have been any worse if he didn't play for the Knicks. Like, they probably still needed him, at least in a presence sense. But clearly he was not at his best, and he struggled during the playoffs. Then he got the ankle surgery, and he really just figured out how to change his game after the surgery. As he said in an article by Fred Katz of The Athletic, he said that when he was injured, the biggest thing he could do is to train his mind and watch film, and it was probably the best thing for him. He said he had to slow down and just watch himself, evaluate, see how he could get better, which he never really had done before. That is the making of a star right there. That is what stars do. They watch film, they criticize themselves, and Randle had never done that before. Randle had played not this season as much, but last season, despite being good, there felt like there was an arrogance to his game. He felt like he knew what he was doing more than anyone else, and sort of would shrug his teammates off, specifically Obi Toppin a few times. He did it to Brunson. He did it to RJ once. Basically, Randle was just convinced that what he was doing was right, and then he watched himself play and realized that no, he was incorrect on some stuff, despite the fact that he did have an All-NBA third-team campaign that involved him making his second All-Star game of his career and his second All-Star game in 3 years, and obviously his second All-Star game with the Knicks. But it doesn't end there, because now, as Katz highlights, when a pass kicks to Randle on the perimeter, his feet already churn. He's prioritizing transition buckets. He's making quicker decisions when he does have the ball, which doesn't stick to him for as long, though he still busts out the Elmer's glue every once in a while. He's taking more layups and dunks and is running more pick and rolls, which is activating size advantages rushing downhill. Look, Dario and I have talked about this in the past. Randle had a history as a ball stopper with the Knicks. He would do what Melo did, and look, Julius Randle, as great as he is not Carmelo Anthony. He's not a top 10 scorer of all time. He's not one of the 5 best isolation players in NBA history, like Carmelo Anthony is. He's not the 3rd best Knick of all time, which Carmelo Anthony is. However, he was still stopping the ball, Melo. And though Melo didn't have the teammates Randle did, Melo actually had almost no teammates. Julius did, in Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett, in Mitchell Robinson, in Emmanuel Quickley, guys who were all above average talents. The reason the Knicks made the second round is because they had a great team last year, and they have a great team this year, though it's a little different now since the Anunoby trade. The Knicks do have a great basketball team that is capable of making the conference finals if things go right for them. And that was as true last year. Maybe not as true because the Knicks are better now, but they also still had a good team last year. There was a reason they were in the playoffs, but Randle was stopping the ball and he was killing the ball movement. And though, as Katz highlighted, he breaks out the Elmer's glue, which is alluding to Randle still being a ball stopper to a degree, he has cooled off with that. And look, Randle scores in post-ups and in isolations to a high degree, and that's the offense Tibbs runs. So there's going to be just chances of everyone being a ball stopper, Brunson included, even at times Dante DiVincenzo. And it's fine because that's kind of the way that the Knicks play. So you can't fully just highlight Randle for that. But he's cooled off doing that. And something that's been awesome to see is that he is playing in transition more. Julius Randle is like 245 pounds. He's 6'8". And when he's barreling down a hill, not too many people are going to be able to get in front of him and stop him from really getting to the basket. He's a massive human being. He doesn't really look like he has the build of an NBA player. He looks like he's an NFL player who also happens to be 6'8". He's got that barrel chest. He's not rail thin like you see with other players. Randle is strong. He's stronger than most of the NBA. He's probably the strongest player on the Knicks, at least physically. And because of that, you're really going to see a guy who, if he starts to move downhill like that, especially because Randle has a nice touch at the rim, you're going to see increased success in comparison to a guy who's like Julius Randle was taking a bunch of threes on step backs and on ISOs, which sure, to be able to do that with Randle's size is great, but you shouldn't be relying on that more heavily than you could be relying on something like your transition basketball, like moving downhill, like your scoring inside. And essentially what Tom Thibodeau has had to say is that it's been a steady climb from the start of the season. He knows from coaching against him, the one thing you don't want to see is Julius Randle with a head of steam coming downhill. Tibbs says that's his strength. And if you look right here, last season, Randle took 8.3 3-pointers a game, and now he's down to 5.1 and 23-24. He's mostly eliminated the step backs he's leaned on so often last season, a shift that was not part of the summer plan and established as the season continued. Randle said that he likes the shots that he's getting, and if he needs to take those threes, he will, but he doesn't need to right now. That is something else to highlight, is the fact that this is the most spacing a Julius Randle Knicks team has ever had. Randle's first year with the Knicks, Alfred Payton, R.J. Barrett, Reggie Bullock, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson were the starters. That did not work. The next year, it was the same group. They made the playoffs because Julius Randle just forced his way into the playoffs. Let's be real, Randle forced it. He forced his way into the playoffs with a below-average Knicks team. You could call it what it is. They were not that great of a playoff team, but Randle forced them there because he was just playing like a monster. It's why he made the All-NBA second team that year. It's why he made an All-Star game that season. The next season, again, the Knicks had no spacing and no point guard, and then Randle struggled. And then last season, there wasn't the same amount of spacing that there is now. Yeah, like Brunson was there, but we still had that same lineup of Brunson and RJ and Grimes at some points, and Randle and Robinson. Like, you got shooting in the backcourt, but that's it. Now the Knicks have Jalen Brunson, who's an above 40% shooter from three. Dante DiVincenzo, who as a starter has shot around 47% from three-point range. OG Anunoby, who's a 37% three-point shooter and electric from the corners especially. And then you have Randle and Hartenstein because Robinson's injured right now and for the rest of the season. That is a team that has shooting. Randle is now the fourth best shooter in the Knicks starting five. That has never happened. There have been seasons where he's been the best three-point shooter in the Knicks starting five. It is so much easier for Julius Randle's life if the Knicks have shooting like they do now. That's why the acquisition of OG Anunoby helps so much, is because it gives the Knicks more court spacing. RJ and Randle wanted to do the same thing. Brunson also likes to work from the inside. Now the Knicks have three guys on the starting lineup in Brunson, DiVincenzo, and Anunoby, who all have to be guarded from three. That's forcing one-on-one matchups for Randle at the rim, and if he's doing that in transition, he's going to score almost every single time. There's not much teams have been able to do about it. Looking right here, something else that he said is that the key to having longevity in this game is adaptability and being able to adjust. I've always been able to adjust as my career has gone on, but now I think I'm just more sure of who I am as a player. It's all coming together for me at this point of his career. Randle's in the prime of his career. He's 29 years old. He's finally gotten a team around him that fits. The Knicks fit well with each other. This is the first time in Randle's Knicks career where he's been on a team where it's a very fluid fit for everyone, because RJ was never a consistent enough shooter. He also wanted the ball more than OG Anunoby did. So now you have a Knicks team that can be dominated ball-wise with Brunson and Randle. You have DiVincenzo, who can dribble, but is there to shoot spot-up shots, especially from the corner. Him and OG Anunoby are two of the best corner three shooters in the league. They're both tremendous shooters as it is. Hartenstein creates space from playing mostly at the high post. This is a Knicks team with spacing, and when you have spacing and Julius Randle, Randle gets one-on-ones at the hoop, and he succeeds. Now, if you look right here, since November 8th, when Randle started to adjust, and also when his ankle was back at full health, he's averaged 26.4 points, 9.1 rebounds, and almost 5 assists per game in those 29 games. That was all but 8 games of the season. Because of that, that shows the majority of the year, Randle has played like he theoretically could make another All-NBA team, even with the slow start that he's had, and shows that he should be an All-Star. Despite this, if you look right here, Randle is not in the top 10 for All-Star voting, despite the fact that players like Jaylen Brown, Bam Adebayo, Mikal Bridges, Porzingis, Kyle Kuzma, and Paulo are there. Randle is not. And look, Giannis Embiid Tatum is the starting front court for the All-Star game. It's the only correct option. There's no other correct option for that. But Randle should really be right there at like 4 or 5. To put those guys ahead of him is pretty preposterous. And then also, just side note, Brunson at 6 behind Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, Damian Lillard, and Halliburton is just ridiculous. Brunson has an argument that he's better than all of those guys. I think there's actually a really good argument that he is. It is what it is. Julius Randle is not fully getting the respect yet for what he deserves with playing down low in the paint. But teams are going to take notice, and when teams take notice, people are going to take notice, and then we're going to understand that Julius Randle is having the best season of his career and that this is the best way for the New York Knicks to succeed, and the Knicks have just had a new level unlocked through this interior scoring, quick thinking, post playmaking, and post scoring Julius Randle. I cannot wait to see him play in the playoffs. I do not think he's going to play badly like his first 2 playoff appearances. Again, I think the second one's pretty excusable with the ankle injury. Some people don't feel that way, and you're fine to feel that way. But really, I do think he's going to bounce back. Comment down below if you think that Randle's going to bounce back. Like this video, subscribe to Knicks Digest, all that good stuff. Turn on post notifications. Thank you so much for 4,000 subscribers. It's the first video I myself have filmed since we got to 4K. That means so much that we got 1,000 subscribers in 8 days, guys. Like, I can't even put that into words how much that means. So thank you so much for all the support. I'm going to keep grinding out these videos for you guys. Knicks Digest to the moon. Stay tuned. 2024 is our year. Have a great day, guys, and go New York Knicks.